Today on the Topping Show, Vivek on Democrats' southern border policy goes viral. Bud Light Wild Ride is wildly boring. DeSantis goes viral for his voter increase as governor. Anheuser Busch Super Bowl lineup is roasted. McDonald's CosMc nearly triples McDonald's. Levi Strauss to lay off between 10 and 15% of their employees. And the Pink Stanley Cups actually contain some lead. All of that and much more on the Topping Show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of Topping Show is sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. I say he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, you see, that's a joke. If you're an IT leader or a business owner, reach the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of January, so click that button. I'd greatly appreciate it. Now going over to the business part of the podcast, you have McDonald's CosMc nearly tripling the number of visits compared to the traditional McDonald's. Now, the McDonald's spin-off CosMc actually opened up a little over a month ago with about 10 locations, and they're going to be testing a couple of them more throughout the United States. A little news article thanks to Fox Business. Going to help us out with some of the details here. Now, that is my theory behind the whole idea is, obviously they want to make more profit, increase their revenue, but they also want to compete with Starbucks, one of the most wildly successful companies in history, perhaps the most successful company in history when it comes to the success of selling coffee. And there are a lot of benefits of selling coffee as opposed to fast food items such as hamburgers, french fries, and other salty snacks, such as the time to sale as well as the consumption period. Usually they're drinking the coffees off-site. And again, McDonald's, they're in a very tough situation. Thanks to a myriad of variables, including the government causing hyperinflation, there's no such thing as a dollar menu anymore, really. And a lot of the items there are no longer as profitable as they used to be, and they're increasing the price. And the price point for people that shop McDonald's, they're very sensitive to those price point increases. And it's gotten to the point where they're actually not even going to allow you to fill up your own soda, or as some might call it, pop, at McDonald's in the future. In fact, I believe starting this year, all future McDonald's locations will actually have the corn syrupy drinks behind the counter for the employee to do it, because they're actually starting to lose money with consumers doing more and more of those refills. And the margins are that bad. It used to be highly profitable to sell soda, and again, it's still, for many restaurants, a big point of profit. But for McDonald's, they're starting to lose money on it, so they have to put it behind the counter. So they're on attack from all fronts. And of course, you have increased labor costs. In California, their minimum wage now is $20 to flip burgers, which is astronomical, not competitive, and interestingly enough, will help fuel the research, development, and deployment of AI technologies as well as robotics technologies in the fast food industry, as again, you can't increase the cost of labor so much without increasing the cost of the goods sold, aka the food, and which would thereby drive customers away, because again, after a certain price point, people are not going to shop at McDonald's. Now, back to the actual CosMc concept, that was playing on nostalgia. It apparently was a mascot a couple years ago, and again, nostalgia sells, and it's going to be their fast concept for basically Starbucks. Cheaper coffee, and they'll have little snacks like Starbucks, but cheaper, easier to produce, more profitable. Now, in terms of the data that they're starting to get back, it looks like, and this is according to Placer.ai, one of the reports that they published a couple days ago, they say, quote, Placer's data suggests that CosMc saw more than a double of the number of visits than a typical McDonald's saw chain-wide during the December 2023, despite only being open since December 7th, more than triple the number of visits per square foot, which again is important because again, real estate is expensive, though the most successful real estate company in history is McDonald's. Gotta love pop-ups, right? Well, not so much. Now, it'll be interesting to see once we get to the sales figures, because again, that data is not available at this time. They also note that, they're starting to go after a younger audience, and that appears to be working with this new concept. And again, there is a market out there for people who don't want to pay expensive prices for coffee. Not everyone can afford $7 to $12 to $20 for a cup of glorified sugar water with some coffee beans sprinkled in. So Starbucks isn't the option for everyone. Now, traditionally, I would have thought the biggest competitor would be something like a Dunkin' Donuts. Though anecdotally speaking, I think I've seen one in the past few years. Now, McDonald's has more resources than many can possibly fathom, and they could easily just copy and paste this concept throughout the US. And given the price point and the profit margins for coffee in general, and the fact that they can sell this item more frequently, faster, more efficiently than something like traditional food, like fast food French fries or hamburgers or whatever else they sell there, then it could be actually a better overall business plan for the company moving forward. Now, there are also some fun comments here in the Fox News business, so we'll read a couple too. What's the general feedback from the public? Are people, I mean, this is extremely viral. Someone actually waited, I think it was like 6 or 8 hours in line to go to this place. The power of nostalgia is key. Now, one of the top comments comes from Elena Elias. It says, quote, "Of course they do it because it's a new. This happens with new restaurants all the time, but the novelty wears off. Check it again in 6 months to a year," unquote. I got 38 likes, and that is true. There's the power of new. It's going to have a big increase in your sales, but still, I mean, 2x and 3x are pretty important figures. Even if you shop off 20% of that or 30% of that, that's still a very impressive growth rate and a lot of potential business. Baba Lulu says, quote, "Never forget that when Mickey D came out with the quarter pounder, A&W came out with the third hamburger, and it never sold. The public thought a quarter pounder had to be bigger because, oh geez Louise, their grammar is abhorrent. But nevertheless, I'll reword it. So they say the public thought that the quarter pounder had to be bigger than the 1/3 because of the number 4, which again also shows the mediocrity that the public school system is in the United States in many ways. Not all, but it seems to be. There's a reason the ACT scores are 32-year low, yet the teachers' unions want more money. No matter how much money, they just have worse performance. Fascinating how the union is doing that. But yeah, that's sad and true. That did happen. A&W, because again, they don't teach many things in public school. If you convert it to a decimal, maybe that's more palatable for some people. Quarter pounder is 1/4, that's 0.25. Now 1/3 is 1 out of 3, that's 0.33 repeating. 0.33 is greater than 0.25. We have now contributed more to mathematical society and public education than some public schools, which is quite concerning. But nevertheless, Buffalo says, quote, "It baffles me how people complaining about the economy continue to eat through a window that at absorbent prices," unquote. Getting 36 likes, which, yes, that is very true. And granted, maybe these restaurants as well as convenience stores, they also take EBT cards. There are a lot of people who use government funds to fuel these food, some say it's a food addiction. But yeah, it is fascinating to see on social media and all these websites, people always complain how bad the economy is. They always complain how short their paycheck is. And they'll go out and they'll buy fast food. They'll eat at a restaurant, which is one of the most imprudent financial decisions you can make in your lifetime. Some of those things where, personally, anecdotally speaking, I think I've gone out once in the past 24 months, like paid for food. The only other exceptions would be business expenses. If I'm with a customer or prospective client, then I will go out to a restaurant and I'll treat them. But yeah, just for the bang for your buck just isn't there like it used to be. You could eat at home cheaper and healthier most of the time. But we'll do one or two more. Let's see here. A couple of people talking about nostalgia. Fox News 99, appropriate enough user, they say, quote, "New and shiny, this shall pass," unquote, getting 29 likes. Let's see here. Let's see, a couple of other people saying how this reminded them of their childhood. So it'll be interesting to see at the end of the day, how much does this really increase the overall revenue, sales, and profit for McDonald's? Is this perhaps a future? Could it? Let me know in the comments. Do you think this will be a business threat to Starbucks? Again, personally, I think there are two wildly different audiences and customer bases. I don't think the person who's willing to pay $7, $8, $12, $20 for a premium cup of coffee, or some might argue sugar in a cup with a little bit of 1 or 2 coffee beans, I don't think that's the same person that wants to get that, $1 or $2, $3 price point coffee from, I was about to say McDonald's, now CosMc. It'll be interesting to see, but as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting business news, you have San Francisco-based Levi Strauss announces more layoffs. This thanks to San Francisco or sfgate.com, which actually sounds like more of a, not a conspiracy, it sounds more of like more of a travesty or a public outcry. What is it? The word eludes me at the moment, but yeah, it sounds almost like a catastrophe. But nevertheless, this apparently is just a news outlet for San Francisco, which you could also argue is a travesty in and of itself, with the rampant crime and businesses leaving in droves. Now, this is coming to us thanks to Gabe Liebman, who's writing the article at the SF Gate. And they note that Levi Strauss is going to announce, they've announced that they're going to cut their global workforce between 10 and 15% in the next couple of months. Who would have thought another San Francisco-based company struggling? I would have never thought. Now, I'm only moderately joking since the majority of their sales are indirect sales models and they're not taking place selling products in San Francisco. They just happen to be based in San Francisco. There are very few companies left there. I think Salesforce is still there. That's perhaps the only big company you would know by name if you're in business and you use a CRM. But going down the article, they note that the cuts are part of an initiative that Levi Strauss hopes to save the company $100 million. Are expected to come within the first half year for the layoffs. Following the announcement, the stock fell as much by 2.2%, which, let's see here. The stock fell by much after hours. Now, since the peak of 2021, the stock is down 50%. Jeez Louise, which, for how profitable textiles are in general, I'm astonished how far it's fallen. Now I'm curious, what's the 5-year plan look like, or what's the big trends of Levi? Currently trading for $15.86 per share. 5-year trend, they're negative 28.3%. Year, they're down 10.55. Year to date, down, well, it's only been a couple weeks, 2%. Past 6 months actually increased by 7%. Past 1 month, down 6.32%. And now the real question is, do they pay dividends? They do pay dividends, interestingly enough. So there's a little bit of an incentive to hold the stock and not sell it. The 52-week low is $12.42 per share. 52-week high was $19.36 per share. So not still having astronomically impressive revenue. In 2022, they had 18,000 employees. They had revenue of $5.764 billion, founded in 1853 by good old Charles Burr. Or no, sorry, that's the CEO. And they're actually based or founded also in San Francisco, which is probably why they most likely won't leave. Now, they also note that the news comes on the heels of Levi Strauss announcing it has extended its naming rights deal with the San Francisco 49ers home stadium in Santa Clara. Earlier Thursday, the company said that the 49ers agreed to a $170 million sponsorship extension for Levi Stadium. Jeez Louise. That was pending approval. That'll run through 2043. So that is a long time, but I always debate how much value do you really get out of naming rights for stadiums and sports balls games. I know Americans worship sports balls and people will attend it. They'll see the logo. But there are some things where it comes to advertising where it's so hard to really measure a metric of success. I say it's the same thing with like Super Bowl ads and car ads, especially on TV. How many people have bought a vehicle because they saw it on TV? I've always been pretty skeptical about the advertising for those categories of products. Now, in terms of the name rights to the stadium, that is a pretty penny to say the least, or vintage penny, since modern pennies are 99.99% zinc, which is garbage. The old ones were real copper back in the day when our country, there's a lot of metaphors there, when our country was not in debt and had real money. But it'll be interesting to see, again, luxury clothing brand, not too surprised that they're being hit harder with the economy. Because again, no one needs a pair of Levi jeans. It's a luxury item. You could debate about the design being more aesthetically pleasing, or maybe the materials are a modicum better, but I mean, for most people, many people, I think, see jeans as a commodity. Truth be told, I don't think I've purchased a pair in 6 years plus. Kind of like my suit. Just buy one suit, make it last, and you'll look just fine. So it'll be interesting to see. Let me know in the comments. When's the last time you actually purchased a Levi Strauss product? And when would you ever go buy one again? Or would you buy one again? As always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now going over to the culture part of the podcast, you have Anheuser Busch Super Bowl lineup tweet is roasted. Now this comes thanks to the parent company Anheuser Busch, their individual X-Twitter profile, and they have a little picture along with some text. They say, quote, "Look who's heading to Super Bowl, was it 57, 58, whatever sports ball it is. Proud to announce our 2024 starting lineup. Hashtag Budweiser USA, hashtag Budlight, hashtag Michelob Ultra. Drop a football emoji if you're watching." And it does have a picture of those 3 beers in regular bottles. The Clydesdale horses are actually back. Those are there. They have a picture of a fridge filled with Bud Light. And crazy enough, they actually do have a picture of a white man in front of a the glass of Michelob Ultra. Which, given advertising demographics these days, you don't see that a lot. And, as youth might say, it didn't really go viral. In fact, not to brag, but I got more views on a video. One time, but still, it did happen. Now, In theory, I'll have to double check. I know it was around 4K. But nevertheless, this only got 4,258 views and only 81 likes. So in theory, perhaps that's the 81 employees left at Anheuser Busch who are working there. And I suspect most people will roast this because, again, it's not very compelling. It's only moderately interesting. Again, there's a lot of potential for sports balls. I mean, they could have put mini jerseys on the bottles, perhaps, or had the bottle, that could be a parody in of itself. Have the bottles pretend like they're sports balls players. You have one by the, put some sports pads on, put a football, pretend like a beer bottle is catching a football. And again, I'm not a multi-million-dollar advertising marketing agency. I'm just saying, I can't believe this is so moderately boring. But nevertheless, they did choose to publicly post this out. And interestingly enough, they're choosing to focus on the brands post-hit by the Bud Light boycott. If you look at the sales figures for the Anheuser Busch InBev, the three specific brands that have been hurt by the boycott were, and again, by number of sales, you have Bud Light, Budweiser, Michelob Ultra. Week over week, the sales compared to last fiscal year, again, same day, weeks for week, Bud Light is down about 30%. You have Michelob Ultra Bud Light is around 30% less sales. You have Budweiser around 10 to 12% less sales. Michelob Ultra, that's about 3 to 4% less sales compared to the same time periods the year prior to the controversy of paying Dylan Mulvaney $185,000 to take a couple pictures and a video. I can't fathom making so much money. That's probably the biggest negative ROI in history. They paid Dylan that much money, and they've lost hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in sales. In one quarter alone, they lost $400 million in sales, just vanished. Rest in peace, Alyssa Heiderchild. Her career will be someday perhaps resurrected. She was very proud on LinkedIn. She's the first woman VP of marketing in the industry, and she said the brand was too fratty. She wanted to change that. She achieved that goal. She did change their perception of the brand. I will give her credit. Yes, she did do that. For the better, physically speaking, obviously not, unless you can't read numbers, which sometimes Americans can't. As if you're watching the whole show, you would know. Now, maybe I'm alone with this assessment. Maybe this is such brilliant marketing. Everyone in the comments is so enamored with the brilliance of it and the success. They're going out and they're buying Bud Light products right now. I mean, statistically speaking, no, absolutely not. But let's dive in and find out. Where the first comments comes from Pamela Edens, and she responded with the sports balls emoji. And again, I don't want to say Anheuser Busch fell flat on their face. Perhaps a more mapped metaphor would be Anheuser Busch, the Budweiser Clydesdale horse tripped and broke a leg. Something to that effect. Now, they responded to her, but they didn't take the time to like her response. And again, if someone's interacting with your brand, you should take the 1/1000th of a second to like it. Or even if you're really slow, maybe it'll take a second. Just saying, it's also a good time to like this video. Or if you hate it, down like it and leave me a comment, tell me why. As always, want to try to improve. Now, again, going to her profile, I wonder, is this a legit, prospective client? Is she a fan of it? So going to her profile, she has 1,200 followers, and she is, I don't know if is the medical term still a moron. She is mentally vacuous. I say this because I don't think she's a real person or just someone who has no time or mountains of time in their hand. All she does is want free stuff. So she does a hashtag for the BS hashtag millions, so you can win some gift card or something if you repost it. She wants free tickets to some sports ball event. She wants to take something about a Shaun White. She's reposting for a free hat. She wants a free pop figure. She wants, what the hell is this? Free cards. She wants Tic Tacs. So again, this isn't a person who is a fan of Anheuser Busch InBev or their products. This isn't increasing this person's favorability. It's just someone who wants free stuff, which again, that doesn't help build sales. Now, I'm not too surprised that's the first comment. Another one comes from Steven and Torres, who again responded with a football emoji. And interestingly enough, again, the statistics are 24 hours after I recorded this happened. I recorded the statistics again, but it only got 26 comments, which is terrible for, again, I just can't fathom it. Going to Steven Torres, has 1,100 followers, and they're actually retweeting the same crap as the other girl. So they want to win tickets to Disneyland, which big red flag there. They want free Oreo cookies, free popcorn. So again, it's not increasing sales, just people want free stuff. And Anheuser Busch did respond to it. They said, we're ready. They're not, but they did respond. And again, I don't know if these, in this case, there's actually no incentive mechanism to really, yeah, there's no incentive mechanism to actually interact with the advertisement. Prior, they'll do the things where you could win a case of Bud Light or sports balls tickets, which again, I can't imagine a more perfect example. Usually you're talking metaphors, but the example of being a winner and loser at the same time, you could win a case of Bud Light, which Lord knows what you'd actually do with the product. There are very few things I could fathom. But yeah, going to those older profiles, again, so this one is by the name of Lori. They want, what is this? Crypto, PayPal. Yeah, they want, and Oreos, the same. So all these, I don't think it's a coincidence. What is it? Three for three. They're all just people who want free stuff. They're not. So we'll do one more. Debbie Peterson, she responded as well. She has 78 followers. She is reposting for, what is this? She hates the former president Donald Trump. She wants to win, what is this? A Chicago Cubs hat. She wants to win, yeah, just free stuff. And she wants to win Bud Light sports balls tickets. So again, I don't know if these people think this is going to help their odds or anything, but they're just responding with the football emoji, and there's no incentive. They're not winning free tickets, so I can't wait free Budweiser. And the profile, maybe they just have it set up to track Anheuser Busch and all the brands, so that when they do retweet, they just automatically have their profile do it. But again, it's just mostly profiles who want free stuff. Now, it took us a while scrolling, but we did find one comment that we're starting to see someone that get likes. So, someone by the name of Right From the D says, quote, Dylan Mulvaney going to be your guest of honor, unquote, question mark. That got 5 likes. Again, we scroll down, there's a bunch of people getting literally no likes. Anthony Christensen, we do have a couple here's another one with a like. Anthony Christensen specifically says, quote, what are the horse's pronouns, unquote. That got 1 like. Stephen Milsom said, quote, what Bud Light is doing for football. And it's a picture of a GIF, or as youth might say, a GIF. And it is a trans flag with sparkle animation, and the text says, football, but make it gay, unquote. Which, I don't see an associate producer credit for Kathleen Kennedy. I don't see her name accredited with it, interestingly enough. That did get 1 like. Oscar says, quote, where's Dylan, the man pretending to be a woman, unquote, getting 1 like. Nathan Williams says, quote, I mean, it makes sense because they use Super Bowl to propagandize all the good little NPCs so they can take your Q beer ads to turn your kids gay. Unquote, getting 1 like. And of course, let's see here. Show additional ads that might be offensive. Of course, let's see the bonus button. Matt reposted with a picture of, what is it, Jim Carrey dressed up as a woman on a Bud Light can. Dan McCutchery says, quote, employee of the year candidate, question mark. And it's a picture of a listed Heiner child standing by a bar, or standing at a bar with Bud Light bottles. So yeah, again, I would say really didn't compel you to buy the product. Told you a little bit about what they're going to do for the Super Bowl. Okay. But yeah, in terms of, does it give you a compelling reason to buy it? No. I mean, is this going to are they addressing the problem or the concern that many people have with the product when they're trying to advertise their product to kids by sponsoring someone whose main audience is people under 21? Doesn't address that either. So I can't help but think it probably won't increase their sales at all. But I don't know. As usual, let me know in the comments. I'll be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news, you have Bud Light Wild Ride Super Bowl ad going not so viral. It's less a wild ride, more of a wildly boring ride. Perhaps think of a Toyota Corolla, which again is the most best-selling car in history by number of units sold, but it's just not very interesting, more boring. So this comes to us thanks to a specific ex-Twitter profile of Bud Light, and they say, quote, buckle up, Super Bowl, is it 48, 58, whatever it is, it's going to be a wild ride, unquote. And it looks like it's a 12-second video. Let's see. Hopefully there's no music unless it gets struck down. Let's see. So Bud Light on some type of embroidered, maybe a rapper's sweater or a jacket. Not a sports jacket, as all men should always be wearing. Obviously, it's more of a, looks like a bottle of Crown Royal. They take that fabric, you put the Bud Light logo on it, and have a golden zipper. A gentleman wearing glasses. They look to be sunglasses. And yet he appears to be in a room where there's no sun at all, hardly, which negates the whole reason of having glasses, but nevertheless. Okay, so they do a flash to some guy wearing a Broncos jersey holding a bottle of Bud Light. Crazy enough, in terms of the marketing demographics, it is a white guy, which you don't see very often these days. They are really trying hard to get their old customer base back. So he's shocked at something. Are you something? And then music. And then it just has a Super Bowl logo. Which again, talk about a moronic ending. And I say that because they're spending millions upon millions upon millions of dollars to be, quote unquote, the official brand or official beer of the NFL. Which, again, they have had other advertisements towards that. But I'm shocked they don't have that in big, bold font just to spell it out a little bit more to drive the fact home that they're trying to buy the Sports Balls League and they're trying to gain affection and gain their customer base back. They actually didn't even mention that. I mean, obviously they have the Super Bowl logo in it, so you know, but I'm surprised they didn't say, like, proudly the official debatable beer sponsor of the NFL. I'm surprised they didn't add that as they had in other ads. It's almost like there's missing something. Now, in terms of going viral, as the youth might say, it did a little better than usual. Not much, but it did get, within 24 hours, it got 9,453 likes, and it got views. What is that? Willy Wonka says, wait, take that, reverse it. It got 101 likes, but no Dalmatians. And, yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe that's a famous rapper I don't know about? I don't know. But, yeah, needless to say, it's not very inspiring. Let's go to the comments. Maybe I'm completely wrong. It's rumored to have happened time to time before, but let's dive and find out. One of the first comments comes from the serial commenter Mary saying, "Can't wait." And again, go to her profile. She's just someone who wants free stuff. Let's see here. Yep, go to her profile, and yep, free everything. She wants everything from snacks to the hashtag millions profile where you allegedly win a gift card or some crap like that. Literally every brand that has free stuff, she does. She just wants it. So again, we'll do one more of these people or alleged people who are saying good things. So again, she said can't wait. Bud Light did respond to her, and it looks like someone did like it. So I presume Bud Light liked it. So at least someone has a modicum of intelligence, or perhaps they're just not as inebriated by drinking copious amounts of Bud Light while in the office to interact with the people who are giving them some affection, or at least not malicious interaction with them. So it looks like Bud Light did respond to her. They said, grab a Bud Light and hang tight. And it looks like someone did like her statement. Presumably it was Bud Light themselves. Now another gal, let's see here. Which again, if you look at the demographics of who actually buys Bud Light, I would venture to say it's well over 50% men. But nevertheless, Sarah Stein says, quote, "I cannot wait." Now, Bud Light did not like that response, neither did I. But they did respond. They said, "We'll grab a beer for this." Or "You'll want to grab a beer for this." Huh. All right, go to Sarah Stein's profile. She has 626 followers. And go to her profile. She reposts a lot for Disney. What else is this? For Natural Light. A lot more Bud Light reposting. A lot more Natural Light reposting. I don't know. Does she own Natural Light? So, oh yeah, you could win a beer. You could win all this. Then she reposts for Budweiser. Interesting enough, so she looks like she also reposts for Michelob Ultra, as well as Budweiser, as well as Bud Light. I have half mind to look her up on LinkedIn to see if she just works there. I'll be damned. We found a real account. Or let's see here. She really loves Bud Light, but yeah. Going to other responses, you have Alyssa, again, another gal, Alyssa Shields. Where are the? So she says, "Oh, I'm ready." Now Bud Light looks like did respond to her. They said, "Let's just say it's going to be easy to enjoy," unquote. I got 2 likes. So someone, she did like, maybe they probably liked her. Someone actually did like her statement. And go to her profile. She has 168 followers, joined in 2016. So it's not like a brand new account overnight. And I don't want to say she's mentally vacuous, but posting a lot on about Taylor Swift, some guy named Drake. She reposts for Bud Light a lot. What else does she say? Talks about How I Met Your Mother. Wants, was it free sports ball tickets? So again, how many of these people really buy Bud Light, or do they just want free stuff? And she's just reposting everything, everything Bud Light and Anheuser Busch InBev owns. She seems to be reposting their brands. And I can't fathom a reason why an average person would do that. So, of all the people that said positive things, they seem to be serial reposters for Bud Light for some reason. Now, as we go down, again, those are getting between 0 and 1 likes. Now we're getting to the ones that actually have more than 1 like or 2 likes. So I suspect the person who commented also liked Bud Light's response to this, but nevertheless, this comes from the man they call Payne, and he says, quote, "Goodbye, Bud Light," is the little clip from, I forget if it was a TV show or something, where you have a gentleman, cover your ears if you have children listening, but a gentleman tucks his junk in front of police, and they photoshopped Dylan Mulvaney's face onto this individual, and they put a Bud Light logo on someone else in the background. That got 13 likes, more than all the other likes combined thus far. The Kosher Red Pill says, quote, "Apologize already," in all caps. That got 11 likes. Pammy, 1958, says, quote, "Do you think this ad is going to change my mind about buying a product? Not a chance," unquote. Although that only got 1 like. Red Dawn Rising says, has a picture of a can of Bud Light, though they've photoshopped it. Instead of Bud Light, it is She-It Light. And the text above the bottle or can says, "Nope, never drinking that She-It again," unquote, getting 3 likes. Let's see. 10 people responded to or liked John Gatt's 420 tweet, and he says, quote, "And this is Super Bowl performing artist. This is, again, I'm not a doctor. However, I have a theory. If you click the subscribe button, it may very well help with my speaking ineptitudes. If you look at when we first started the show, I mean, shoot, very few subscribers, a lot of speaking blunders, to be frank, a lot of stuttering, speaking too fast, and believe it or not, it's been a modicum of improvement. Not a lot, mind you, but a little bit. So if you click the subscribe button now, I would greatly appreciate it. I think may very well assist. Now again, what I was attempting to say is, quote, "And this year's Super Bowl performing artist is," and they have a GIF, or as you might call it, a GIF, of Dylan Mulvaney dressed in tight pants, a crop top, shoulder length hair, makeup on. That did get 10 likes. Let's see here. Hey Bob GFY says, quote, "As long as Bud Light has DEI departments, the boycott should continue," unquote, getting 7 likes. Let's see here. The White Rabbit. Ooh, that's good Photoshop. Now, the White Rabbit has the picture of the Dylan Mulvaney can, perhaps the most expensive can in business blunder history, and they have the photo, it changes to black and white, and it says "Obey," in reference to a science fiction film. I think it's They Are Among Us, where there's a very famous scene in the movie where every time the protagonist puts on glasses, they can see the world how it really is, and it is quite scary to say the least. That got 6 likes. B-Ball Cookie says, quote, "And your garbage won't be included," unquote, getting 7 likes. John Galt 420 says, quote, "Drink real beer, don't drink piss beer," unquote, and it's a gif of a glass of Guinness being filled up, getting 10 likes. C. Mill says, quote, "Not an apology," getting 11 likes. Albert Raven says, quote, "Strap on your," cover your ears if you have children listening, I'm sorry, quote, "Strap on your strap-ons, ladies and gents," unquote, getting 11 likes, nevertheless. So again, all the comments that are from, actual people seem to be just roasting them completely. And of course, there's a little hidden button. What are they trying to hide, Bud Light? If you click the super secret censorship button, you see that Pete Ness responded, and he said, quote, "The number one choice of," I don't know if this is a pejorative term or a technical term, it is in the automotive community. So he says, "The number one choice of trannies and bundle of sticks," unquote. And, well, I edited it so it's moderately child-friendly, though this is not a child-friendly subject, obviously. It is then accompanied with a picture of the Pride can of Bud Light, where it has the Pride colors all over it. And that got 3 likes before it was super secret hidden by Bud Light. So, again, they don't really show you who the artist is, whoever it might be in this commercial. It's not even a really good sneak, or a sneak peek. It, again, just seems like a boring advertisement. I mean, it's not really much of a wild ride. It's just more of a boring ride. And I can't help but think, in terms of the cultural backlash with Bud Light, I don't see the boycott stopping anytime soon. Although, let me know in the comments. As always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the political part of the podcast, you have Vivek on the border disaster going viral as he clarifies what the Democrats are doing, many suspect. Now, this comes thanks to his personal X Twitter account. And after 24 hours, it looks like this got 1.1 million views and 57,000 likes. Vivek specifically says, quote, "The southern border disaster isn't the product of incompetence. It's the intended result of years of careful planning by the Democratic Party. Once you understand that, the situation makes it a lot more sense and the solutions become much simpler," unquote. Again, as youth might say, that went viral to say the least. And given all the undercover reporting we've seen with government entities, government officials, and parties assisting people across the border illegally, I can't help but think maybe this is the next thing that was conspiracy theory to be proven true. Before you know it, you might have to put another $1 into the Alex Jones's right jar, which, heaven forbid, is actually starting to seemingly overflow these days. Now, going to the comments section, Elon Musk actually is one of the first responses. Elon says, quote, "Correct." And that got 7.7 thousand likes. Geez Louise, that's a lot of likes to say the least. And a good reminder to like this video, as I would greatly appreciate it. Paul DeZuspa says, quote, well said, none of what's happening is shocking. Democrats are importing illegals for two main reasons. One, their votes. Without voter IDs, illegals can easily commit election fraud. Two, their numbers. Democrat states are hemorrhaging populations and need them to be replaced, unquote. I got 504 likes. As well as I'll add this fact that the state census doesn't ask for an ID in terms of when they're doing the census to see how many representatives they get to send to D.C., the bigger your population, the more representatives you get to send. So there's an incentive to grow your population year over year over year over year. Going down in additional comments, one comes from Wild Bill NC says, quote, "Calculated invasion led by an illegitimate regime," unquote, getting 122 likes. Steve Ferguson says, quote, "They want to change the electorate forever," unquote, getting 192 likes. Let's see here. Uncommon Sense says, quote, the reason the Arizona election was rigged for Katie Hobbs was so that Arizona wouldn't defend itself like Texas is. The reason Andrew Cuomo was forced out of New York was because he wouldn't want New York to be overrun by illegals. Yeah, 224 likes. Matthew J. Show says, quote, "No border, no country," unquote, getting 104 likes. Marjorie Taylor Greene press release parody account says, quote, "The Democrat border is a disaster because Democrats want it to be that way," unquote, getting 314 likes. As I continue to scroll more and more, interestingly enough, I'm not seeing hardly any contrarian statements as opposed to the past. There's usually one or two guys who consistently will chime in who are much more left-leaning, or depending on the person, there's one or two leftists or extreme left that'll chime in. I wonder if it's just because the topic is no, I was about to say maybe more and more people just believe in borders these days, but no, there's some people who are still pushing a no borders agenda and think we should just have one big world with no culture, no divides at all. So, I'm actually surprised, and I'm scrolling, I'm not seeing a lot of contrarian statements to this particular hot topic. So it'll be interesting to see. This is one of the hottest topics going into the election. What are the plans to actually fix it? There seems to be no appetite from a lot of politicians to actually fix this problem. And this problem is not just national security, not just economy, and also humanitarian. The mechanisms in place right now, the incentive structure are in place, are actually to such that they're incenting illegal behavior, but also illegal organized behavior. So the cartels, the coyotes, who are taking people across the border, making it a huge business, they don't do it in healthy or respectful ways. And it leads to people coming to the United States who are not only here illegally, but they're indebted to the people bringing them here, which is a whole other issue in and of itself. It's not good. So it'll be interesting to see, who has the best ideas to fix this. Is it just as simple as just having a good old-fashioned wall and revetting it so that people have an equal opportunity throughout the globe to have equal opportunity to apply to become a citizen in the United States? Let me know, what do you think would be the best solution for this particular hot topic? And it's fascinating to see, even though Vivek isn't officially running, he's still helping out the Trump campaign, and he's still overwhelmingly really active on social media. Can't but think his role is not yet finished yet. Other interesting political news, you have Ron DeSantis going viral for voter increase statistics as he was governor. Now, interestingly enough, I can't help but think and see that all the interviews and all the videos he's making post dropping out for Republican nominee, he seems infinitely happier and better. Even his awkward smile has gotten a lot more humane. Now, truth be told, I don't have much ground to stand on with my smile, but nevertheless, his videos are more personable and he seems to be less awkward. Now, this one went viral almost immediately. And again, within this one particular statistics, I wrote this 48 hours after I took the data, or I took the data after 48 hours it was posted, and it got 1 million views. So it's, for DeSantis, he's only gotten a couple really big viral moments. And in his campaign, I think he went viral, aka, or I define it as going over 1 million views, maybe 3 to 6 times. And hilariously, kind of ironically enough, the most viral moment of his career ever was when he made his dropout statement on X Twitter. That got over 40 million views. Now, nevertheless, this particular statement comes from his personal X Twitter profile, and he says, quote, "When I got elected governor in November 2018, Florida had close to 300,000 more registered Democrats than Republicans. Today, we have close to 800,000 more registered Republicans than Democrats, a net gain of more than 1 million in a little more than 5 years. Produce results and people respond," unquote. Again, they got 22,000 likes. And I can't help but think, where was this 3 months ago, 6 months ago? Again, DeSantis, I always tell people, a great example of how you can have a good product, but without the right marketing, the product will fail. And in this case, I think you had a strong candidate for a Republican nominee, but the big elephant in the room was Trump running, and Trump's a lot more popular than DeSantis, and more people respect Trump, and that's why he's getting all the more ammo. But even just going to fight for the Republican nominee, why did DeSantis not drive it home to the fact that he had a proven track record? He did mention it, but in terms of consistent marketing messaging, he could have done a whole campaign around swag and accoutrements that you could sell to people, just as simple as DeSantis does, and do a cool like a D over a D or D squared logo. And you could have a t-shirt or a mug or something that has 2 or 3 bullet points that he is most proud of as his accomplishments as governor, and tell us how it's going to translate into when he's president. That's what he could have done. And again, would that have helped him overcome the gap between him and Trump? I don't suspect so, because of the huge MAGA power and the following that Trump has, but it would have done a lot better. Again, he started around 32% in the polls for Republican nominee. He went down to around 11 in a year. That's worse than some of these publicly traded stocks that companies are going out of business. It's a terrible negative trajectory. But I'm not sure. So it's unusual for him to keep these stats up. Now he's on social media, now he's talking more about it. But why now? Again, he's still governor, he still wants to look good. But this message would have been a lot better received like 3 to 6 months ago. And maybe he would have got more support. And I suspect he would have. But, so it is bizarre. And again, that's a great achievement that you could point to. He increased the voter turnout. You can also say he contributed, or he approved policies that attracted Republican voters as well to relocate and move there. Again, I thought he had a lot of potential, but not executed right at all. Now, again, going to the comments section, maybe he has overwhelming support. Again, prior to him dropping out, it's usually not a 60-40 split, but maybe a 50-50 split between positive accolades from his supporters, and then usually about 30% people from the Trump, people who are fans of Trump saying it's not your time, don't like him, and then 20% just completely, as youth might call, not rickrolling him, trolling him, I believe is the term. Now, go to the comments. One of the first most popular ones comes from Rosie Memos, or Memos. My way sounds fancier, but nevertheless, this person says, quote, "Not giving hashtag Scott Pressler any credit is gross. He dedicated his life at the time to flip Florida," unquote. And that got 1.4 thousand likes, which, yeah, you show, again, I'm not an expert on Scott Pressler by any means, but if that is the case, you probably should have given him some credit. A lot of people really, I think, respected Trump more over the past couple of days. Last week, he was actually giving accolades to Vivek Ramaswamy specifically for bringing his attention of having a central bank digital currency in place that would give the government control to stop you and having your life like that. Immediately stops all your ability to do any transactions, pay any bills. Again, Trump gave Vivek credit for bringing that topic to his attention, And now that's part of his proposal, or one of his list of things that he'll do if he does become president, is make sure the U.S. federal government cannot roll one of those things out. And again, I think people saw that as maybe Trump growing, give him some credit, goes a long way, a lot of people. So yeah, it is kind of interesting. The first comment is, why are you giving this guy credit for help? But nevertheless, John Trovada says, quote, now get on the campaign trail and help, excuse me, and help Trump, unquote, getting 753 likes. Stacy Celebrates Tradition says, quote, now fix the homeowners insurance crisis. Elderly people are suffering. My neighbor has lived in the same house for 45 years. In the past 2 years, her insurance has tripled. This should not be happening. We do not live in an area that takes on hurricane damage, unquote. They got 698 likes. Lucky says, quote, you spent $200 million and got 26,000 votes across 2 states, unquote. Which, that's almost as bad as a blunder from Bud Light in terms of spending money to lose money. That did get 369 likes. Sweet G. Jepper says, quote, thanks to Scott Presler and President Trump, maybe a little humility would do you some good, unquote, getting 186 likes. Jeez Louise, there seems to be more roasting than accolades in this particular instance with Ron DeSantis. You do have Laves saying, quote, America's best governor, with a pointing above emoji. And that got 499 likes. See here? Nate says, quote, somewhere hashtag Scott Presler is taking credit for this, unquote, getting 460 likes. Ultra Mega Joyce Day, which I would say A+ for marketing for this gal, but she doesn't even have the iconic Trump hat. She is, again, her profile picture is hatless, which is, come on, you do not get A+ marketing, but we do appreciate, now we know her political, I was going to say bias or political preference, which inherently probably does have some bias as well, but nevertheless, the Ultra Mega Joyce says, quote, that's because Florida is Trump country, unquote. It got 499 likes. MJ Truth Ultra was much more blunt when he says, quote, Trump did that, dipshit. And it's a GIF accompanying it with Donald Trump saying, you're welcome. That got 272 likes. Ooh, the LJ Podcast says, quote, I changed my party to vote you out in the primary, unquote. Got 108 likes, actually. The United Spot says, quote, wait, now you want to be governor again, unquote, getting 164 likes, which is a jab at him advocating from some of his focus and responsibility of Florida governor when he was running for president. Ashley Munoz says, quote, you're welcome, Trump. Got 313 likes. Kat says, quote, I wonder who did that. And it's a picture of Donald Trump drinking a glass of water, getting 76 likes. So, yeah, I thought there'd be, let's see here. Oh, the Gay Republican says, quote, yes, Florida is a Republican paradise, unquote, getting 60 likes. Yeah, so interestingly enough, a worse ratio than usual in terms of people critiquing Ron DeSantis, even though it did go viral. Lots of people saw it. But at the end of the day, I kind of wonder, I mean, what's his goal for this? Even though, and again, where were these, I don't know who was part of his marketing department, his campaign department, but let's just say they probably shouldn't be in politics, or they need to go back to the drawing board, so to say. Because, again, in terms of the marketing business, the marketing blunder of the year, let me know in the comments, who did a worse job marketing themselves as a product or service? Ron DeSantis or Bud Light? It'd be a tough competition. But, as always, let me know in the comments. Be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the business blunder of the day, you have the iconic Pink Stanley Cup. Turns out to have a little bit of lead in it. So, that's not great. Now, this is really the most viral moment I've seen from a product being sold in the past, well, certainly the calendar year, so short year, but I'd say past 6 months. Americans, well, let's be honest, white women in the suburbs, they all flocked to buy a Pink Stanley Cup. Now, it is not associated with the Sports Balls team or the Sports Balls trophy. It is actually the the new Stanley design, which was in collaboration with Starbucks, so I'm sure that crossover helped. And it went to Target, so there may have been one straight guy who got this. Maybe. Well, maybe two for the wives. But nevertheless, this was on the TikTok and it went viral. These people, they bought this product in droves. Some even paid as much as $300 on eBay for them. Which, I don't want to say you're mentally vacuous, but yeah, no, I do. Yeah, if you're paying $300 for that mug that does the same function as any other mug, it's just ridiculous. Personally, when it comes to my preference in tumblers, I've never personally bought one. Now that I think about it. The only time I ever bought a Yeti was when I was doing it for work. So, case in point, if you're watching the show, you can see the tumbler on the table, and that was just for advertising. I can't fathom paying so much money for a little one, especially because I still have the OG, the original Stanley thermos made in the USA. Well, that one, for my grandpa, still works just fine if I need a specific thermos for that application. But nevertheless, now, some people... Oh, geez Louise, pop-ups. Now, apologies. This comes to us thanks to independent.co.uk, and they note that the Stanley Cup people are freaking out with the lead poisoning, and it first went viral again on TikTok. So TikTok may very well be the rise and fall for this Freakonomics instance where a product just sold out down near instantly. It helped the company out immensely. I mean, business perspective, brilliant. These individuals purchase your product without even thinking twice. Now, they know that, quote, amid the viral craze, some concerned consumers have claimed on social media that drinking from a Stanley Cup may pose certain health risks. In a series of posts shared on TikTok, people have said they performed at-home lead tests in their cups. TikTok user Lead Safe Mama. Let me stop that quote right there. I don't even have to say that's marketing brilliance. You know everything about this person just by that name. I mean, definitely not as good as something as silly as the Topping Show. Oh, wait, never mind. Nevertheless, I mean, you know exactly what her focus is. She's a mom. She's focusing on products that may contain lead, which, especially for young folks and children, can be detrimental to your health. I mean, the younger you are, the more you're affected by lead contamination, which is why traditionally there's extremely strict standards for testing and the usage of lead in the United States in products. It has its place, aka every battery your car has, with the exception of an EV, although even those still have a traditional lead acid battery in some applications. But ADHD aside, good profile name, you know exactly what she's doing. Back to the quote, they say, quote, the Lead Safe Mama, whose content aims to create awareness towards childhood lead poisoning prevention, shared a video of herself testing the bottom of her Stanley Cup for lead, urging that, quote, all of the lead be removed from kitchenware, especially items used by child, unquote. Which, yes, there's, trying to think of an application where it would make sense to have a lead kitchen item. Granted, I'm by no means a connoisseur of the kitchen, or, you know, I'm definitely not Gordon Ramsay, but I can't fathom an application appropriate where we would have that in the kitchen. Now, it looks like Stanley did respond to this, which, excuse me, good for them, because one, you want to acknowledge this issue, and you want to tell people what's your game plan to fix it, because it turns out there's a little bit of lead. Granted, this is the disconnect between engineering and the common folk and common sense. Now, the spokesperson at Stanley, they claim, or the parent company that owns it, unfortunately, like many American great brands, they're now owned by someone, and they make it not in the USA. But nevertheless, the spokesperson explained that at the bottom of each quencher is a circular barrier made of stainless steel, which covers a pellet that contains lead. The pellet seals the product vacuum insulation, and it isn't accessible unless the stainless steel barrier comes off, which is possible but rare. When continued to ask for comment, the Stanley team said, quote, our engineering and supply chain teams are making progress on innovative alternative materials for use in the sealing process, unquote. Now they note that it's important to note that the lead material is used at the bottom cap to seal the insulated cups, but it doesn't sit on the surface of the stainless steel bottle and never comes in contact with the actual beverage inside the cup. Again, that's according to the spokesperson, which, and then again, half the article is about the detriments of lead poisoning and the side effects, which again, especially for young people, extremely detrimental, in some cases deadly. But again, the disconnect is the average person is going to read this and go, oh my gosh, there's lead in this cup. Technically true. It's a part of cup you cannot access unless you basically break it open, and your liquids are not coming into contact with it. Now, don't get me wrong, this is still a huge business blunder because of the PR associated with it. It's a drinking product. No matter where that lead is in it, Americans are going to read the headline, they're just going to say, oh yeah, it's got lead in it, it's bad, it'll kill me. So again, we live in a very headline society. Very few people actually read the article or watch the whole YouTube video. Truth be told, it's hilarious how many people might get upset at some of my videos and they don't actually look at the comments, or they don't actually listen to it for the context and the nuance. But nevertheless, it'll be interesting to see how quickly they can pivot in terms of manufacturing processes to get a different subcomponent to actually replace that part of it. Because again, from a technical and a health wise, yeah, it really doesn't matter if it's there. But from a consumer perception standpoint and a marketing and advertising standpoint, that's hugely detrimental. And again, there are some, excuse me, there's some anecdotal evidence saying there may be some lead in there. Again, so it may be, by the design architecture, I wouldn't think it. But at the end of the day, just perception alone, in addition to the health risk, it's one of those things where this is just detrimental to the brand. And I can't help but think their sales are going to tank for at least a fiscal quarter. This is going to have a huge impact on it until they can fix their supply chain, or more accurately, change the components in the materials so that it is 100% lead free. I don't think they're going to have to do a recall because, again, it's not proven to be affected every single unit, and the design is so that it should not even come in contact with the liquid. It's one of those things where going to the lead mama, lead safe mama. Let's see here. Yeah, the consumers claim it may. Readers are testing the bottom cup. So she's testing the bottom cup. She's testing the bottom cup, and if you click subscribe, it might help with my speaking aptitudes. Lord knows there's many of them, a lot of room for improvement. But if you watch the first couple videos, not a lot of subscribers, but a lot of starting, a lot of speaking aptitudes. But the more subscribers we've gained, the better I've spoken. Granted, it's maybe just a modicum of improvement. There, nevertheless. So if you click that button again, I'd greatly appreciate it. But again, back to this actual content with the Stanley Cup. Jeez Louise. Say that a million times in a row, or how many times have I stuttered? Do not make that a drinking game. I discourage you. That would probably be detrimental. Or even worse, making a Bud Light drinking game where you have to take a sip of Bud Light every time that happens. That'd be, viscerally disgusting to say the least. But in this regard, to have this component be in the material, I can't help but think that you're going to turn off a lot of clients, especially when you look at the demographics on who's buying this product. They're most likely stay-at-home moms or mothers with children who are especially concerned about the possible contamination of lead. So it's almost like a double whammy in this regard. But needless to say, Stanley Cups having a little bit of lead in them, that is certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of January, so if you can click that button, I'd greatly appreciate it. Also, leaving a thumbs up or a thumbs down or a comment is a great way to give me some additional feedback to let me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.